Welcome back to the Global Gaming Network channel, where we get the opportunity to go over everything to do with esports across the globe. What's going on with First Stand just concluded this past weekend. CDL qualifiers for Major 2 just ended. We're headed to Texas soon. ESL Season 21, as well as Valorant's kicking back off. This is Today in Esports. Back again with another episode today. My name is Andy, as always, joined with Chris. How are we feeling today, man?
I'm doing great. We had a lot of great games over the weekend. I'm ready to take a look at them.
Yep, without further ado, let's jump straight on in. First Stand just concluded this past weekend. There was a lot of good action happening out of Lowell Park in South Korea. So let's jump straight into the action, starting off with TL going up against CFO. This was a Thursday matchup. Going into this, both CFO are 1-1 and TL are as well. With a win for either of these two teams would put them in a fantastic position to make the knockout stage.
Although Game 1 would stay relatively close, CFO looked comfortable in the driver's seat for most of the game, and a 1v3 gank versus TL would end up outplaying multiple TL members by utilizing unstoppable abilities from Cassante. Although Team Liquid would trade back on rest, this would set the tempo for the rest of the game, and CFO would start the series with a 1-0 lead over Team Liquid. Honky would lead the game with 4-0-3 KDA on Azir. Moving into game number 2, Team Liquid would start strong by leading the early and mid game, but CFO would bring it back in the 24th minute after a failed gank on the Hog Q, will lead CFO to acing Team Liquid and giving CFO the Otacon buff. After this, CFO would lead the late game and win game number 2 and the series. CFO's AD carry Doggo would lead game 2 with a 9-3-6 KDA and an overall 12-5-13 KDA for the series.
For the second Thursday game, we had Karmine Corp on screen, is coming into this match 1-2, and an impressive win versus TES has kept their First Stand hopes alive. But now they would need to face the tournament favorites HLE, who are currently 2-0.
In game number 1, we saw a shake-up in the meta a bit where Zeus ended up picking the Aurora top lane, who has seen a majority of her play in the mid lane. Although this champ would end up with a 33 win % overall, Zeus would put a masterclass on the champ, ending the game with an 8-5-1 KDA. KC would manage to keep the early and mid-game close, but fights orchestrated by Zeus in the top lane would give HLE 2 kills and time to take Baron, helping HLE lead to a game 1 victory. In game number 2, KC battled back, showing some life and actually showing that HLE is indeed beatable. KC's AD carry Kaliss would put on a 1v9 showcase on the Jhin, ending in a monstrous 17-2-9 KDA to carry his team to a game 2 victory. In game number 2, KC would end up taking 2 out of 3 of the Baron buffs and 2 out of 2 of the Elder buffs to win the 41-minute game, which ended up being the longest game of First Stand. Going on to game number 3. In game number 3, HLE would get back to their winning ways with a team effort and all players having a massive game. Support Delight would be a part of 16 kills on Rel, having a 1-2-15 KDA and an 80% kill participation rate. HLE would pull away after successful fights on the third Drake, where they were able to secure the Drake as well as 3 kills to 1 in the 19th minute. After this, they would only give up 1 tier 1 tower and secure the remaining epic monsters and objectives to win the game.
With that brings us into Friday. Friday matches hold the fate of Karmine Corp, Top Esports, and Team Liquid, who are all in a position of being eliminated. Our first matchup starts with CFO going up against Top Esports. CFO versus TES is an important matchup, as the fate of both KC and TES will be determined by the outcome of this very match. If CFO wins, KC will win the tiebreaker and move on, assuming TL loses to HLE. But if TES win, then KC will be knocked out regardless of the outcome of TL versus HLE.
In game number 1, although giving up first blood, it would be all CFO for the rest of the match. West, Hong Q, and Kai Wing would all finish the game deathless, and Doggo would once again have a high kill game, ending with the 8-1-5 KDA. CFO would control the map and take 2 inhibitors before the Baron spawned with the base already open. CFO didn't need the Baron and would just turn to take TES base in the 29th minute in game number 1. TES looked much better going into game 2 with keeping control of most of the early and mid game, but CFO was able to keep the game close, matching kills kills going into the mid-game. The game would flip in the 23rd minute where CFO's Junjia would make a critical smite on Otacon buff and during a team fight would catch 2 in this ultimate, giving CFO's mid laner Hong Q a triple kill. After this team fight, they would only need a triple kill and Baron in the 29th minute to end the game and sweep the series. Junjia would end the series 11-19 with the best KDA, and CFO winning the series has KC qualified for the knockout stage.
Then on to TL versus HLE. With CFO defeating TES, TL's tournament life is on the line. And they will need a win versus HLE if they want to move out of the round robin stage to the knockout stage.
Zeus would once again pick another flexible pick, picking the first time kill of the tournament. Early game would be in favor of Team Liquid, and with their tournament life on the line, they seemed like they would be off to a good start, but an ace in the 22nd minute would cause the favor to turn into HLE's favor. With Zeus scaling on the KO, HLE would continue to pick off Team Liquid and go in game number 1. Zeus would finish with an 8-2-10 KDA. Game number 2, much like game number 1, TL was to see success starting in the early game with a couple of kills going to mid laner APA. With HLE taking control of the mid to late game, Team Liquid would have a pivotal fight in the 28th minute, leading to 4 kills to 0 and removing 4 Baron buffs from HLE. Team Liquid would use a swing to help them win game number 2 and tie up the series with a great performance of APA on the Cassiopeia, having a 6-2-8 KDA, and Yon on the Varus with a 10-3-3 KDA. Game 3 would see Zeka actually taking the first Cassin of the tournament and showcasing HLE's champion flexibility. They would limit Team Liquid to only 3 kills in the 27-minute game, dominating not only team fights but also objectives across the map. In the 19th minute, Zeka would have a quadra kill on Kassadin, leading to a dominating 12-0-6 KDA at the end of the game. Zeus, Zeka, and Viper would all end the series with positive KDAs.
With the conclusion of the round robin stage going into the knockout stage, here are the current seedings with HLE in the first seed, CFO got the second, KC third, and TES in the fourth, which then brings us into the semifinals. Our first matchup here for the semifinals will be CFO versus Karmine Corp. Now moving into the knockout stage, away from the semifinals match, we have a highly anticipated match here in between CFO, who has looked consistent in the round robin stage, and Karmine Corp, who has been on an upward trend since the halfway point in the round robin stage in the first best of 5 of the tournament.
KC would have a dominating game 1, doing an exceptional job controlling the map, only giving up Rift Heralds to CFO. They would take all 4 Drakes, Otacon, 2 Baron buffs, and the Elder Drake. Karmine Corp's Kalist would lead his team once again with a 6-0-3 KDA on the Varus for a game 1 victory. Game 2, in an almost identical mirror match to game 1, KC would once again control both team fights and the map, only giving up 1 dragon and 1 kill in the 28-minute game. In the 25th minute, Karmine Corp would ace CFO to take the Baron and start their end to game number 2. 4 members of Karmine Corp would all be deathless, and Kliss once again would have a standout game, ending with an 11-0-9 KDA. In game number 3, CFO will return to the team we saw in the round robin stage, showing a multi-member team effort from Junjia, Hong Q, and Doggo to keep themselves in the series. In an even game, after getting a pick on Yike in the 20th minute, CFO would then take Otacon to bring them back in the game after being down about 3k gold. After that, CFO would pick up another kill onto Yike, then would take Baron and get multiple picks to take the game and win game number 3. Going into game number 4, CFO would ride the momentum of game number 3, and with a massive game between Jungle Junjia on the Nocturne and Hong Q on the Kali, they would fight their way back to even up the series. CFO would control the map in the fights, only giving up 1 Drake and taking both of the Baron buffs and Otacon. Hong Q would end the game 6-1-5, and Junjia would end 5-0-5 to send the series to a game number 5. In an electric game 5, KC's jungler Yike would have a standout performance on the Maokai, participating in 17 out of the 18 team kills. Both teams taking 3 Drakes apiece, it would be in the 23rd minute where KC would find an ace on the CFO to swing the game in their favor. Although it would take them until the 39th minute to win the game, KC would avenge their round robin loss to CFO and make it to the grand finals to face off against HLE or TES. At the end of the game, Kalist ended the series with a KDA of 24, 11, and 23.
Which then sets us up for our second semifinal, HLE versus Top Esports. With a repeat of day 1's match, HLE will again face off against Top Esports to see who will meet Karmine Corp in the grand finals.
Going into game 1, although HLE would not take many of the epic monster objectives, their team fights would allow them to take control of the game, In the 11th minute at the Void Grub, HLE would get a team kill on the TES to start their Game 1 dominance. HLE would then keep control of the game. After taking Otacon and a kill on Cream, HLE would then start their Baron, prompting TES to react. A great turn from HLE would lead to an ace on TES and a Game 1 win. Viper would come out strong with a 7-0-6 KDA performance on Ezreal to start out the series. Game number 2, we would see the highest kill game of the tournament with an overwhelming 38 kills to 14 in favor of HLE. Both Peanut and Zeka would have double-digit kills at the end of the game, with Peanut going 16-1-16 on the Vi and Zeka going 14-2-14 on the Akali in the 28-minute game. In game number 3, HLE put a stamp on the series and was ready to move on to the grand finals. Viper, who probably felt left out of game number 2, would end game 3 13-3-8 on the Jhin, as well as getting a Cadre kill in the 33rd minute. HLE would play a more balanced game, taking 4 Drakes to 1 and also securing the Baron buff. Peanut would end the series with the best KDA at 23-3-38. With their win, HLE would go on to face KC in the grand finals.
The final stage is upon us. HLE versus Karmine Corp. Road to the grand finals, HLE had an impressive run going undefeated in series wins and having an 11-2 game record. Karmine Corp, who started their series 0-2, would battle their way back with an impressive turnaround to climb their way back to face HLE.
In game number 1 of the grand finals, similar to game number 2 in the round robin stage, both teams would stay fairly even, with HLE having a slight lead going into the game. Karmine Corp would then get into the lead after a pick on the Peanut in the 27th minute. They would start the Baron, causing HLE to fight in a 4v5. Here, Karmine Corp would ace HLE and take the Baron buff. They would then have a hard-fought late game to finish the game in the 36th minute. Bliss would end the game 7-3-10 with 412 CS on the Misfortune to take the lead. This would be the first time HLE would drop a game 1 in the first stand tournament. Going into game number 2, we would see one of the lower kill games of the first stand tournament with only 13 kills between both of the teams. HLE would take total control, having 9 towers, 6 Void Grubs, 4 Drakes, 1 Otacon buff, 1 Bear buff, and denying KC of any epic monster kills or towers and only limiting them to 2 kills. At the end of the game, HLE would have a monstrous 14.1 gold lead over KC, and Zeka would have a stellar performance on the Aurora, ending with a 6-0-2 KDA, tying up the series 1-1. Going into game number 3, HLE was determined to take the series lead by replicating their success they saw in game number 2, but with more kills. Peanut, Zeka, and Viper would contribute to 24 out of the 28 kills for HLE, but along with the kills, HLE would once again deny KC of any Drakes and only give up 1 Void Grubs out of the 6. HLE again would have 0 towers killed from Karmine Corp and have another 14k gold lead at the end of the game. Peanut would end the game 8-0-11 on the Zhenjiao. With a 2-1 lead over KC, HLE is on tournament point. Going into the game 4 with HLE 1 win away becoming from the inaugural first stand champions, they would continue the dominance they found in games 2 and 3 of the series. Although Karmine Corp would find some epic monster ejected kills in game number 4, HLE once again held KC to 0 turret kills in the last 3 games. HLE would then take an objective-based approach despite taking tier 3 towers and an inhibitor in the 25th minute. They would turn to take the Baron buff in the 27th minute, where they would get 2 kills to 1, and Zeus would have an incredible escape after holding 3 members of KC while the rest of his team got the Baron buff. KC would do a good job waiting out the first Baron, but at the 34th minute, HLE would take an uncontested Baron, and in a last-ditch effort, KC would engage HLE in their base, but HLE would ace KC to win the series 3-1. HLE would win the Grand Finals 3-1 to make them the inaugural first stand champions. The series MVP would be Zeka from HLE, having a 23-7 and 26 KDA, and playing champions such as Azir, Aurora, Silas, and Ahri.
HLE went 14-3 in total games of first stand and only dropped a single game 1. They held records for games with most kills and the longest game in first stand. Overall, they were the most dominating team, and all 5 members had the highest KDA of the tournament, with Viper at the highest with an 8.7 and Zeus with the lowest at 5.
The significance for the victory for HLE will grant Free an additional slot at MSI that gets them automatically in to the bracket stage. This again is big because the rest of them will have to have that play-in to get additional slots.
And that's everything to do with First Stand. Congratulations to HLE on the competition win. Make sure to tune back in on Thursday's episode to take a look on everything that's going on in League of Legends soon after this episode. But now we're going to shift our focus over towards Call of Duty. Major 2 qualifiers had just concluded this past weekend as they are gearing up for their Major 2 LAN event that is happening in Allen, Texas. We have the opportunity to look over at least 3 of the matches that happened this past weekend in the final weekend for qualifiers that were indicative to what Major 2 might have in store for us.
Match 1, we will take a look at Toronto Ultra versus the Vancouver Surge. Vancouver has been at the forefront of the conversations post Major 1 and second place at Minor 2. They have collectively looked better since adding Neptune, and they have beaten Atlanta FaZe twice in the stage, but Toronto has been improving and has been fierce to other top teams. Vancouver would like a win in their final series to finish the qualifier in a position to get the second seed from Atlanta FaZe.
Map 1 was all about pace, where both Canadian teams were trading money hills and bright moments, but it was damn near impossible to lose the game when an AR Flex, aka Abusa, is going 37-17. That's a 2.18 KD, by the way, for Surge to take a 1-0 lead in the series. Toronto, though, in all of their improvements, would not be deterred, and they took the next 2 maps and would be up 2-1, forcing Surge to win Map 4 and force a Map 5. And so they did, convincingly. A 250-137 Protocol hardpoint would set us up for a Protocol Map 5 between the 2 top 5 teams. Surge, since losing to the Thieves in Grand Finals of the past minors, showed that they had more pace with Neptune, but they still struggled in the objective game modes, primarily in the control. But Search and Destroy was not too far away, especially against top teams. That was apparent here, a 6-2 win in the Map 5 that had Ultra win a round in under 20 seconds, had the Surge could barely fight back. And losing this series means that they won't improve their seed leading into the Major. Toronto's Insight went 9-2 for 4.5 KD in this very map. It's insanity incarnate. Toronto, you absolutely love to see this 3-2 win over Vancouver, especially when Joe DeCease is popping off. He's never looked this good, especially surrounded by this team. As always, it's been pretty damn good. Their fundamentals have been on point. Joe DeCease dropped a 1.04 for the entire series, but Kleenex was the player of the match with a 1.15 overall KD, backed by a 1.71 in Map 3.
In match number 2, we would see Boston Breach facing off versus the Miami Heretics. Win this series and you start the winner's bracket of the Major. That's what was on the line for these 2 teams going into Saturday's match, with both teams sitting at 2-4 for the stage.
Miami have been looking worse this stage, post top 3 in Madrid during Major 1, and are coming off a bruising of an 0-3 loss versus the Carolina Ravens just the day previous. Boston are coming off a Map 5 loss to FaZe, but played them incredibly close, albeit FaZe playing into Boston's strengths and just to refine their map pool. Boston and Miami have only beaten bottom barrel teams this stage, but Boston have played the top teams closer. It was a very close fight. Boston came out hot in the Skyline Hardpoint Map 1, where they were up by 60 points before you knew it. In case you didn't know, an entire hardpoint is 60 seconds, so Miami were down big early. So many lost gunfights and lack of pressure from the Heretics left a handful of them in double negative stats. Should this pace continue, Boston surely would win Map 1, but they didn't. And the heart of the Heretics came to life during the Kitchen Hill in the first set, where the multi-kills and trades were starting to come through. That by the time we got to the Miami communication listen-in, the game was just about even. The game would continue to be close until we went back to where the comeback started into the Kitchen P3 hardpoint, where it was just a trade game, 248 to 232. Boston got one more break to push it to P4, and they hold the rotation to new. But no one covered top bridge, so Lucky ripped 2 in the back, flipped the spawns, and Miami would win Map 1 250 to 245. Setting things up wonderfully for the Map 2 would be another neck hair scorcher. If the 5-point difference in Game 1 wasn't enough for you, it had just about everything a Skyline Search and Destroy could possibly offer. The second map had one of the most awkward 1v2 clutches for Miami's medals to try to get something going for the Miami Heretics. Miami won that round +1, then Boston fired back with 3 of their own, with a round of those 3 being an instant bang out to finish in just under 20 seconds. It had to go round 11, with these 2 teams going blow for blow. Both of them have terrible win-loss records when it comes to round 11s this season as well. Boston prevail in a 3v4 in that round 11 to tie the series up 1 apiece, which sets us up for the protocol control. It was the only map that didn't really feel competitive between these two teams. Boston had a close shave in round number 3, and Lucky was still beaming for Miami, but all in all, Awakening going 25-16 for Boston, and Perch coming to life at 22-19 had Boston in the driver's seat for a map 4 on Hacienda. And much like map 1, this one would be close, but Miami would never be in the lead again post P3 in the first set, and in that moment wouldn't put up a single point until P2 again in the second set, missing time both on P4 and P1. It's not a good look. The Heretics stuck in the fight though, and are always so good at finding trades and reserving for pressure. Didn't stop Purge though, going on an 11 spree, telling his team mid-communication check that he was absolutely frying. It was a damn near green carpet rollout for Boston Breach in that map 4 and the entire series as they won the Hacienda map 4, which set themselves up for a 3-1 win in this series, knocking down Miami to the lower bracket and setting themselves up for a winner's bracket round 1 match. But hold your horses real quick. We'll make sure you guys know who they're facing in that round 1 match.
Match number 3, Optic Texas versus the Los Angeles Gorilla Mates. Burger Bowl to Electric Boogaloo. Woo woo! Defending Burger Bowl champs, LA Gorilla Mates go up against the newcomers, Optic Texas. Both of these two teams are guaranteed to start in the lower bracket for the upcoming major. More alarming for Texas, they are the defending champs, hosting a ring ceremony the Thursday night of Major 2 for their NW3 champs win last season, and are hosting the major altogether in Texas at the venue where they won said championship. They have yet to win a single map of the entire stage.
That immediately changed in the map 1, where Optic were in full control. Pred was in top form, and LAG simply had no answer for the pressure. Optic stayed ahead the entire map and won Hacienda 250-166. Setting ourselves up for a red card search and destroy, where the Gorilla Mates fought back despite the 3v4 retake for Optic to start off the map number 2. They were not shook. We went back and forth the first 3 rounds, but LAG Mates fired off 3 in a row, lost the next one, then closed out the final 2. This was LAG at their best this entire series without a doubt, with New Blood Lunars going 13-6 for a 2.17 KD ratio, with 2 of those 5 first bloods that LAG found in their map 2 win 6-3. Which set the stage for map 3, back to Hacienda for control, and this is where we thought the green wall would break again. Hacienda is LAG's most rehearsed control map, and they look the best there. And it's current optics, so who honestly knows what we're gonna get? But it's a map mode that should tailor to their strengths. And to Optic's strengths, they certainly tailor too. My word, a full hold in round 1, a scare in round 2, but an offensive round win nonetheless, where it went down to lives, which set Optic up perfectly for a round 3 defense where they only allowed a single segment to get captured the entire game, and Optic would win the control map 3-0 and take a 2-1 lead in the series. Color me surprised. Which then brings us back over to Protocol, would be the final venue for the series, and Pred was just not going to be denied any semblance of momentum going into Major 2. Pred started off with an 11 spree, by the way, that enabled Optic to get an early lead. LA Mates fought back and had a hell of a good P4, sure, but Optic's lead was cemented with a final full hold to win the map 4, 250-192, and subsequently winning the series 3-1. Which means the table is set. To Allen, Texas, we go for Major 2. It is upon us. Teams are going to start flying out this week, and competition is going to start going down on Thursday. The winners bracket matches are going to be interesting. That Boston Breach team that I was talking about, they get that 8 seed. Yeah, you're going up against the undefeated LA Thieves, so congratulations, but at least you get that second life. But the teams down in the lower bracket, this is what's scary. Optic Texas, they're hosting that ring ceremony to celebrate their Modern Warfare 3 championship win. That's going down on Thursday. Make sure you tune into that. But they're starting in the lower bracket where they're going to have to face the loser of Atlanta versus Minnesota. And you feel like if it's a lower bracket round 1 match, Optic Texas should have a good chance of winning that one. All the action's going down this Thursday, so you definitely want to tune in towards the Call of Duty channel on YouTube to watch all of that, as we're going to be going over all of the action and the matches a little bit more in depth on the Thursday episode.
BCT Stage 1 started on March 13th for positions at the Masters Toronto, which will be happening on June 7th, 2025, with BCT's Masters starting on March 21st and EMEA starting on March 26th. Top teams to watch will be teams such as Sentinels, Fnatic, and Liquid.
First few matches for VCT Americas going down on March 21st will be Cloud9 versus NRG. We got Crew taking on Loud, should be a banger. March 22nd, we'll have G2 taking on Furia. Leviathan versus MIBR. And then the 23rd of March, we have 2G versus EG. And then Sentinels, the team to watch, taking on 100 Thieves.
First matches for EMEA will be on March 26th. We'll have Vitality versus GX and BBL versus KC. On March 27th, we'll have TH versus APK, FUT versus Employ. On March 28th, we will have Fnatic versus Na'Vi and TL versus M8.
And that's everything we have going on for VCT right now. Make sure you tune in on the Thursday's episode as we maybe break down a couple more episodes. But again, keep those dates in mind because that action is coming up very, very shortly. And speaking of all of the upcoming news, before we jump into Counter-Strike and what happened in ESL Pro League for Season 21, let's go ahead and take a look at what was happening in the news with a quick little news roundup.
Rainbow Six Siege has announced Siege X, an overhaul of the game that will have some new additional features, maps, and game modes going into it. We will see additional features such as a 6v6 mode, a new huge map, audio and visual enhancement, new destruction, weapon inspections, advanced rappel, and a communication wheel with much, much more. But the game has had some feedback from some of the big names in the scenes and content creators. Jinxie has shown approval for the game, as where Shroud is a little more neutral. So tell us in the comments where you stand on Siege X.
Next, we have Apex Legends in their global series. ALGS is returning back to LAN after everything that just transcended in the previous months or two. We're headed down south. We're going to get some beignets, New Orleans bound, happening May 1st through the 4th. Tickets will be going on sale March 18th. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ALGS Open.
Envy has announced a merger with Native Gaming, and they had this to say on their Twitter. We are excited to announce the merger of Envy and Native Gaming. This partnership marks the beginning of a new era in Envy's history. Dean and Mike will unite to push the boundary of whatever is possible. Together, we will elevate the sports by blending Envy's championship legacy with Native Gaming's commitment to growth and indigenous communities. The gaming forces, we plan on opening new doors for players, fans, and the gaming community worldwide. Fearless Draft is here to stay. Riot has announced that Fearless Draft, successful in Split 1 as well as the first stand tournament, are going to move it to Split 2, MSI, and Split 3 and into Worlds. It has been met with a lot of success as well as the fans have seemed to enjoy it as it's been mixing up the meta. Make sure you let us know in the comments section if you like Fearless and how you have experienced it so far.
How about Counter-Strike 2? I mean, we covered a lot of it through ESL and all of its current season for Season 21, what's happening overseas, sure, but even on Steam, the average player retention rate is seeing new heights and new bounds. How about this? Over the past 24 hours, we saw the peak of 1.8 million individuals playing Counter-Strike 2. Everybody's trying to live up, be a little bit like Thong. Everybody wants to try to put a team together, maybe to try to take on the ESL Pro League. I'm not too sure. It's just wicked cool to see. And with all that said, that's all the news that we have. Back to the desk.
And that's it for our news roundup. If you have any exciting news that we didn't cover, make sure you link it in the comments below and tell us what your favorite esports moment of the week was. But let's go ahead and take a jump to Counter-Strike. ESL Season 21 has been concluded, so let's take a look at those games now.
First semifinals match, we got Team Spirit going up against Mouz. Spirit and Mouz only played against each other in 2 major events prior in CS2, not counting CSGO, with Spirit winning one and Mouz the other to have a 50-50 shot in this series here. Both teams going into this matchup with an 89% win rate of all of their series since February. In the first map, it went down on Nuke, which Spirit had a 59% win rate on, and Mouz has a 60%. Going into this, it was chosen by Mouz. Round 6, Jimpat would have a quick 1v2 clutch on Nuke in a terrorist pre-plant situation against Chopper and Magix. Map 1 Nuke would go into overtime, with the first half Mouz being up 9-3, and then the second half Spirit going 9 rounds to 3. Only the final round in OT, Mouz's Torzi had a crazy 4-kill push onto the bomb site of A to secure the map victory for Mouz in OT, where he got 2 kills with the AWP and 2 with the Tech 9. Mouz would win Nuke 16-14, going up 1-0 in the series. Best player from that first map obviously has to be Torji, with 26 kills, 15 deaths, 4 assists, plus that clutch. It was nuts. Worst player would be Magic's by far, with just 7 kills, 23 deaths, and only 5 assists. He did have an 86% headshot ratio, though. Second map would be on Dust 2, where Spirit has a high 69% win rate on, and Mouz has a 56% win rate. Spirit showed why they had such a high win rate on this map, where they ended the first half 10 rounds to 2. Spirit showed why they had such a high win rate on this map, where they ended the first half 10 rounds to 2 rounds and won the last 3 rounds, in the second half only dropping 5. Spirit would win map 2 going 13 rounds to 7, tying up the series. Donk popped off on this map, carrying the team, getting 22 kills and 11 deaths. He averaged a kill per round and had a 99.8 average damage per round. Worst player from that second map would be Brolin on Mouz, getting 9 kills and 17 deaths with a horrible 56 average damage per round, which set the stage for the third map. It took place on Ancient, with Spirit having a 70% win rate over 92 matches and Mouz having 62% win rate over 95. Both teams have not played this match as much as others. Round 11, Shiro would get an insane 3-2 frags on the terrorist side with an M4A4 wall partially flashed. First half would see Mouz having an early lead on counter-terrorist side, going 8 rounds to Spirit's 4. Zershin would have a 15-6 KD ratio with a high 117 average damage per round in the first half. The second half would see Spirit getting some rounds, but Mouz getting the 5 rounds required once their economy was stabilized and broke Spirits. Mouz would win map 3, 13-10. The best player from that third map would be Zershin, getting 24 kills, 16 deaths, and 8 assists. He would have a very high 112 damage per round. Result of all this, Mouz defeated Spirit 2-1. Player of the series, easily Torzi, 60 kills to 39 deaths. Donk would put out a strong performance on Spirit to try and carry his team with 64 kills and a 61% headshot ratio, but it just simply was not enough. Since Katowice 2024, this is the third time Spirit has not been top 2 at anything, major, regular season, or anything at all.
Moving to the second semifinal match, we have Vitality versus Mongols. Mongols went into the series with a 100% win rate over Vitality in 4 series in major CS2 events. They haven't dropped a single map against Vitality. Mongols came in with a 78% win rate in the last 9 series, and Vitality having a 100% win rate. First map on Anubis, which was chosen by Mongols, Vitality has played Anubis 52 times with a 62% win rate, the Mongols having played on the map 42 times and a 55% win rate. In the first half, Vitality pretty much dominated the Mongols, winning 9 rounds to Mongols 3. Zaiwu would have 12 kills, 4 deaths, 5 assists in the first half to average a kill per round. In round 17 in the second half, we would see Blitz almost get a 1v4 clutch on the T side, where he was able to secure 3 kills and almost a 4th against Mezzi, but lost the duel. Second half would show the same result, with Vitality winning 5 rounds and only dropping 1 to the Mongols. Vitality would win the map 13-4. Vitality gets the first 12 kills to Mongols 5, which gave them a consistent advantage on takes and retakes. Zaiwu would be the best player of the map, getting 17 kills, 6 deaths, 8 assists, and averaging a 101 damage per round. Flames was a close second with 19 kills, 12 deaths, 6 assists, and averaging 123 damage per round and an insane 68% headshot ratio. On the second map, Nuke, Vitality's pick, Vitality has played this map 216 times with a 63% win rate, and Mongols has only played 66 times on it with a terrible 44% win rate. In the first half, we would see Techno pull off an insane 1v2 clutch on CT post plant in round number 6. The Mongols will win 8 rounds to 4 in the first half to give them the lead. Great start from Mongols, as Nuke is a heavy CT's favored side map. Techno would be the best player on the first half, getting 14 kills, 6 deaths, and a 79% headshot ratio. On round 16 in the second half, we would see Zaiwu get 4 frags with the M4A4 defending the ramp. On round 29, Techno would win a 1v2 clutch to set the Mongols on map point. The second half would see Vitality fighting back, getting 8 rounds, while Mongols would get the 4 they would needed to secure the victory. The Mongols would pull out the upset win on map 2, 16-14. Techno would be the best player of map 2, getting 22 kills, 17 deaths, and an insane 77% headshot ratio. Vitality's Mezzi would be the worst player, getting only 12 kills and having 18 deaths. Map 3 would take place on Inferno, which Vitality has a 65% win rate over 218 games played, and Mongols have a 55% win rate over 124 games played. Vitality would dominate the Mongols in the first half in round 2. Flames would put on an insane performance, gain 17 kills, 6 deaths, and 7 assists with a 65% headshot ratio and averaging 124 damage per round. Going into the second half, Vitality didn't let up and won the next 3 rounds straight, dominating the victory. Mongols would only get 3 kills in the 3 rounds. Vitality won the map 13-2, with the result Vitality defeating Mongols 2-1. The player of the series would be Flames, where he went 63 kills, 37 deaths, 22 assists, holding an overall 65% headshot ratio and averaging 100 damage per round.
Which then has us going into grand finals. Team Vitality versus Mouz. Map 1 took place on Dust 2, with Vitality having a 64% win rate on with 197 times played, and Mouz having a 56% win rate on it, playing it 322 times. First half would see Vitality, ending it being up 9 rounds to 3. Flames would be the top player for the first half, having 10 kills and 6 deaths, holding a 60% headshot ratio. Round 21 in the second half saw Torzi getting a 1v3 clutch, getting 2 kills, and then getting the bomb planted and getting the last kill to keep Mouz in the run for Dust 2. Vitality would win the second half 13-9, after they were able to secure the 4 rounds needed after the first half. The best player from that first map would be Flames, easily, where he got 21 kills, 14 deaths, and 6 assists with a 52% headshot ratio. The worst player from map 1 would be Jimpat, getting only 9 kills and 16 deaths.
Map 2 took place on Nuke, with Mouz having a 61% win rate over 284 matches and Vitality having a 63% win rate over 218 matches. Round 5 in the first half, we saw Rogues get 4 quick AK kills on a ramp defense. At the end of the first half, Vitality would be up 9 rounds to 3. Zyru and Rogues would dominate the first half both, getting 14 kills. The second half did not look much better at all, with Vitality winning the 4 rounds needed and only dropping 1. Vitality would win map 2 13-4 in a dominating performance. Mouz would only get 12 kills in the 5 rounds in the second half of the game to Vitality's 22 kills. Best player of the map would be Zyru, where he got 17 kills, 11 deaths, 5 assists, and averaged 110 damage per round. The worst player of map 2 would be Jimpat again, where he only got 5 kills and 15 deaths.
Map 3 took place on Inferno, where Vitality has a 65% win rate over 219 matches, and Mouz having a 61% win rate over 284 matches. In the first half, Vitality would again put out a dominating performance, being up 9 rounds to 3. Zywu continued to put out a great series, where in this half of the map, he would get 10 kills and 5 deaths while having a 90% headshot ratio. Zershin on Mouz would have an absolute horrible first half, only getting 2 kills to the 10 deaths. Going into the second half, nothing really changed. Vitality would win the 4 rounds they needed and only drop 2 rounds to secure the victory and to be champions. Map 3 would end 13-5 in another dominating victory by Vitality. The best player from Map 3 easily would be Zywu, where he got 16 kills and only died 8 times. Worst player would be Zershin from Mouz, where he only got 3 kills and died 16 times. Vitality wins the series 3-0 and are the ESL Season 21 champions. MVP from the series would have to go to Mezzi, where he would get 42 kills in total, only 26 deaths, 18 assists, and had a 50% headshot ratio throughout the series. No one expected Vitality to put out such a dominating performance against Mouz, which leads to the question if they are really that good, or was Mouz just caught sleeping?
With this win, Vitality secures $100,000 for the players and an additional $150,000 for the organization. Mouz gets $50,000 for the players and $75,000 for the organization. Also, with Vitality winning this tournament, it makes them just 1 tournament win away from securing an additional $1 million. This is called the Intel Grand Slam, which is a bonus to the organization first to win 4 tournaments.
Apex received the Trash Talking Golden Cock Award. Let's take a look at that interview.
Yeah, a couple things going on this season. Obviously, the series is going well, and we wanted to congratulate you through a community vote for a brand new award.
Oh, fuck
Yes.
The trash talk?
It is the Trash Talk Global Ranking #1.
Finally.
And it is a golden cock. Anything you can say?
That's what I expected in my career. So I reached everything I want. So now I retire. I announce I retire. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you very much, Apex. Congratulations.
And that's all we got for today's episode. Do we miss anything? Do you want us to cover more? Let us know down in the comments below. How to get more engaged with us, follow us on every single platform for social media and beyond. Get engaged with us, start conversations. We would love to hear from all of you at home. Make sure to follow up with us on Thursday for that episode for what is going on in the upcoming weekend. On behalf of all involved, y'all stay safe, and we'll see you on Thursday.